Pub Day Fun continues. Oh my goodness, the busiest day, August 4th. And Julie Pennell is my guest, Louisiana Lucky. I want one of these cupcakes,
I
Julie.
know, right? The covers always make me so hungry for sweets.
How many did you have to eat till they got these right, them right?
Sadly, I didn't get to taste test any. You would think that they would have had me do that, right?
That would be primo of importance. To, I mean, that's all you have to do is see food on the cover, and it's like, yeah, those look really good. And Louisiana Lucky is out today.
Yay.
Yay! Julie Pennell was born and raised in Louisiana. After graduating from college, she headed to New York to work at 17 magazine, which was my Bible for many years. Oh my God. She currently lives in Philadelphia with her husband and two young sons and is a regular contributor to today.com. Her writing has appeared in The Knot, In Style, and Refinery 29. She's the author of The Young Wives Club and now Louisiana. Isn't she lucky? Julie. Oh, so you have a finished copy. Can I see
Yeah, I
that?
have the finished copy.
Okay, so
It feels so smooth too. It's like
it's a lighter pink, unless it could be the light.
yeah, it's the pink. I guess it might be like because it's like a matte cover and that one is glossy.
Oh, okay, I'm so like collect them all. Julie, I would get one of those too. I am very excited to talk about you. When a book starts off with three sisters, I am one of three. So I immediately has my, are you as well? Or
I
no?
am one of two, so I have an older sister.
So you
She's
add
7 years older.
Yeah. How many years?
7.
7. Okay, so you are right. So you're quite a few years apart. When you're younger, those 7 years make a bigger difference.
Yes.
If they still do, but it's amazing. I mean, 3 and 4 years makes a big difference. And then at some level, 15
Right.
doesn't.
I feel like we really like bonded after she went to college. I feel like we were finally like, at the age where we could both like be friends and not,
Yeah,
sibling rivalry.
yeah, no, I hear you. It is amazing how that switch happens and you lay that foundation and you have all those stories and that connection. And then some of the stories become funny.
Oh yeah.
Some of them take many years. So
I have a scar right here because of her.
What did she do?
So this actually made it into my last book, this like anecdote, but we were running around when we were little and she was chasing me around the coffee table. My mom had a glass coffee table with like, corners, and she was chasing me with the remote saying that she was going to control me. And so I ran right smack dab into the coffee table.
So every time she sees you, you can say, remember? But there's something, now you have two young sons. Do you have a glass coffee table?
No, but I have a wooden coffee table and I'm like the, helicopter parent. I have like all the little like
the corners
things, the corner things. Yeah. My mom didn't have any.
Between the bumps on your leg, so you get the shin thing. There's something about a coffee table, and my husband's family is actually in the furniture business, so we have a lot of anecdotes about this and glass coffee tables and edges and all of that.
Yeah, glass is scary.
Yes, there's a lot of coffee table stories. So I wonder, I mean, we grew up with that, like, don't sit on the glass, like who's going to do that?
I know, right?
So anyway, so your sister, does she have any fond memories lingering on her person that you shared with her, or just the younger sister?
So one of I think the standout moments was when her high school boyfriend came over and we had just gotten a karaoke machine. And so she was like in her bedroom, like belting it out, some song, and I let her boyfriend in and let him see her.
Singing, do you remember?
Gosh, I have no idea.
That's really funny.
He fell in love with her. I take credit for that.
Absolutely. I'm sure she was great on karaoke. So talk about your sisters in here, Lexi, Callie, and Hannah, and also setting it, where you grew up, which is fun, and you're in Philly. So while you were writing this, were you in Philadelphia or?
Yeah, I started developing it when I was living in New York, and then we moved here, and I basically wrote the whole thing in Philadelphia.
So was it, fun to sort of revisit Louisiana and
yeah.
story. Yeah.
That's why I decided to do it in Louisiana. It's like I grew up there. I stayed there until college or until after college. And it's just such a magical place, and it will always be a special place in my heart. And when you're a writer, you can choose to set it wherever you want. And I feel like I know Louisiana very well. And I also wanted to be transported back there whenever I was writing it, and I wanted the readers to feel transported as well. So yeah, it was just really fun to like do the culture and the sights and the smells and the sounds of my favorite place.
Well, we need to be transported, of course.
Somewhere.
I don't think that's gotten old saying that, but
I know.
I think and it's true. And this kind of a story and the lottery and the what ifs, although it's funny, somebody was talking about that and thinking, what would you do? And it's like, I guess I'd wait to do something really fun, because what would you do? I guess you would invest. I guess that's what you would do. But what were some of the places, and when place is so prevalent and such a major character in book, that's always a lot of fun, because if it's a place when you're reading about it, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that, or I went there, I visited that place. And if you haven't been there, it's a nice, peek in the neighborhood. So what were some of the places that you chose to share in the story that were favorites of yours back home?
So, the girls go shopping in New Orleans. They don't live in New Orleans. They live in a small town outside of it. And, that's one of my favorite places to visit. And so I got to, take them there. And, it's based on it's a fictional town, just because I wanted to be able to have some control over, there were certain things that had to be there, like a country club and things like that. But it takes place like in the area that I was born and where my family still, extended family still lives. And so Lafayette, Louisiana is like the bigger city. And then the small town that it's based on is New Iberia, where my mom was from. So it was just really fun to be back there. And, I just love that area. I'm just fascinated by the culture of it. And, all of the people. I feel like the people there are just so different, and I don't mean different, I just mean super fun, and they're just amazing. So
if you're traveling, back when we were traveling and you'd run into somebody, could you sort of spot your people and go, you're from Louisiana? Like whether by accent or some telltale sign that they were your people?
Always an LSU shirt.
Oh, there's that. Well, my nieces and my nephew all are Tulane, so they're headed there, I think, next week. So we were supposed to go for graduation, but of course didn't, hoping for the next one. So that's Louisiana. You're in Philadelphia, you're in New York, you're in Philadelphia, you're writing about home and these sisters. So because the book came out today, it's Louisiana Lucky, and visit juliepennell.com. From there, you can find her on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and you can check out the segment that you did. Was that just today or that was yesterday?
The one that I just posted was CBS.
Yeah.
It just came out today. And then we did Philly Live, which is an NBC, the local affiliate here, which was really fun to do as well.
Nice to work at today.com. Not bad.
Yeah. Well, I love working there. It was always my dream job. So
it's so funny. I was on the road show this morning and I kept saying I was going to the Today Show. It was just automatic. I'm like, I'm off to the Today Show. It was like, no, you're not. You're going to the road show. For now. Yeah. So yeah, give us some insight to the sisters and what it's like for them to decide what they're going to do with this, and what does the lottery really mean to them, and have they already won it?
So Louisiana Lucky, it follows three sisters who are all down on their luck. They're kind of broke and just living paycheck to paycheck. And they have a monthly girls' night where they get together and they play the lottery, and they fantasize about how different their lives would be if they actually won. And one night the unthinkable happens, and they win $204 million that they get to split between them.
How did you come up with 204?
I have no idea. Fun fact, the money was actually less at the beginning. It was like 80 million. And I remember doing like the math and like talking to the tax person because I can't do math. I'm not a math person, but I wanted to like see how much money the girls would actually have. And I was like, this is like not as fun. So I gave him more money.
Just like more money. You get to
Why not? I mean, if this is a fantasy book, let's go full fantasy, right?
4 million, yeah, so that the numbers work out, and at least once you've paid your taxes, you still have a little something to enjoy.
Yeah. So each of them buy the things that they think will make them happier. So Lexi is she's recently engaged, and so she spends the money on a big fancy wedding. And Callie, what?
Bad idea. Bad.
But it was really fun to write about a wedding.
No, I'm just waxing poetic. Yeah, thinking about when it's over. But yes, memories.
So Callie is the middle sister, and she's a newspaper reporter, and she like has big dreams for her career. So she kind of gets the confidence with the money to like go after her career goals, and also love.
I like that one.
And the third one, the oldest sister is Hannah, and she has 2 young kids, and so she yearns to give them everything she didn't have when she was growing up. And so the real question is, does money solve all of your problems?
It's a question that is posed in many different ways, in many different forms, and it's always something interesting to think about. And one of the things I was thinking about with the book coming out at this time is what people would spend that money on different than it might have been if they had won it 6 months ago. Or for the girls, let's take the sisters, whatever they choose, I wonder what they would choose now, or what you might have them choose, since of course you're controlling their destiny, Julie.
Gosh, I have no idea. I don't know if it would change. My fantasy is still the same, even with the pandemic. It's probably even more so because like I've always I live in a small apartment in the city, and like I have 2 crazy boys, who like just like want to play all the time. Well, the newborn can't even really walk yet, but or crawl. But anyway, I always like fantasized about having a big house, and I think that that's something that I even want more now. Oh, yeah. Because I'm just like stuck in this, apartment.
And how old is the older boy?
He's 2.5. He's
2.5 and a baby.
Very, very wild. Climbing on the walls.
It's so sweet though, and it does go so fast. And yeah, I can imagine. And the good news is where they are.
It's very easy. I just,
they're there. They can't hide that much at that time. You can keep your eye on them, which is not a bad thing when they're little boys. So again, we don't want to give too much away because it's fiction. It's just out today, and it's Louisiana Lucky. And I love the idea of this for a book club, with everybody sort of discussing their dreams and what would they do. And also, did you look through people who have won the lottery? Because those are really interesting stories. Right. What has become of some of these people, how their lives have changed, what they themselves would have done differently. And I've seen segments where people have won multiple times and keep making the same choice, which may not be the best choice for them.
Yeah, I definitely researched a lot, and there's so many these sad, depressing stories, like the lottery curse.
Yeah, right.
I just didn't want my story to be super depressing.
No,
but I also talked to a lovely lady at the Louisiana Lottery Corporation, who also just kind of guided me through what actually happens when you do win, from the press conference to when you can get the check, and things like that. I had a very tight timeline because of just the plotting, and I was like, could I technically get the check at this point? And she's like, that's cutting it close, but yeah, you could do it.
Research, I would say. Did they give you a little sample to take, like a little winning lottery ticket or something?
I did buy a lottery ticket though for tomorrow's drawing, and I used the girls' numbers that they won on just.
I like that. Wouldn't that be a great story?
Well, that's what I'm hoping. I'm like, wouldn't that just be amazing publicity?
That would be the most. Your publicist would think, Julie, that was so smart. I think that is such a great idea. I mean, back in the day when marketing was doing otherwise, you could sort of include scratch tickets with these or
Right.
something. I mean, if I were
I
having,
had that idea. I like, could we do something?
they would have to be fake. Could you imagine Julie Pennell scams the lottery, Louisiana lottery? Well, when we would have in-person events, I always like to connect, little goodies or giveaways or something like that. And you could do like a fake one and they could win something where you had some sort of control, and it might not be 204 million, but like if you win, when are they picking? Is it tomorrow?
Night. Yeah.
I'm gonna be watching your page. That would be so cool.
It was really funny. I like was telling the cashier, like, okay, I have these specific numbers. And I was like, I wrote a book and it's coming out. And like, these are the things that they win on. And she was like, oh, okay. She did not care at all. But
with that too, Julie, or just keep going. That's so funny. You could just like stick copies by where they sell lottery tickets and just hide them. Did you find Louisiana lucky with your lottery ticket? And go to juliepennell.com and like her Facebook page, follow her. Do you love being on Twitter? Is Instagram, Twitter? Where do you like hanging out?
I think I'm mostly on Instagram. Yeah,
it's Julie Pens. Is that
Julie Pens? I'm Julie Pens. So JuliPens.
That's fun.
On Twitter and Instagram.
That's fun. So what are you working on for todayshow.com?
So I'm just a regular contributor. So I write freelance articles for them, and I write lifestyle content. So celebrity houses, style, articles like fashion, as well as food stories. So it's really fun. I've always loved writing about lifestyle, and it's, I always say it's kind of my instant gratification for writing an article. I can write an article in a day, whereas this novel took 3 years to write. Yeah. So I get something out of it whenever I complete an article, okay, I can do this.
It's satisfying. Well, 3 years, so that's 2 children in there.
Yes, it's funny. I have a baby every year that I have a novel, and
so
that's not a tradition.
I know, no pressure. Things come in threes. So when's the next book, baby, coming? Yeah. What have you read that you've enjoyed during this time? Because I got to think we like a lot of the same books.
So Christy Woodson Harvey has the book Feels Like Falling. And fun fact, she is actually going to be with me tonight for my lunch party. We're doing it with the Garden District Bookshop in New Orleans. And you can there's still time to RSVP if you want to go to their website. So yeah, I'm so excited because she's one of my favorite authors. And so we're going to be in conversation together. And sorry, one more thing about that. If you buy a book through them, just to support them, you get a signed book plate, and also you get entered to be in a drawing for a gift basket from Cafe Du Monde. We're doing that tonight. So yeah, I have been loving hers. I love Hello Summer by Mary Kate Andrews. I love it because it's, about a newspaper reporter, and I have ties, that was my first job. I was 14 when I worked at the local newspaper in Louisiana. So I love that. And I'm currently reading Becoming Mrs. Lewis by Patty Callahan Henry. Is amazing. And I can't wait for Amy Popple's. That's next on my list.
Musical Chairs is such a treat. I have to know, what did you do as a 14-year-old at the newspaper?
So it was funny. I have no idea where I got this from. I was like a super nerdy, shy little girl. And my mom was putting an ad in the paper for a garage sale. And so I went with her into the lobby. And when she was doing that, I just asked them if they had any opportunities for a writer. And they were like, sure, okay. So they let me intern for them that summer. My mom brought me there and picked me up every day. And then I pitched them a weekly column called Teen Scene, and they actually let me do it. And I wrote it for 7 years.
That is amazing. I mean, sometimes you just have to ask. And I love people, especially kids, young teens who have that kind of initiative. and you see it all throughout. I mean, you can see that spark, but like, how many kids would ask that?
I still don't know like what came over me about that, but I'm so happy that I did,
That
because I would not be here right now if it weren't for that opportunity.
Have you written about that as a story about that opportunity?
I've talked about it in interviews. I don't think I've like
That
written.
would be so inspiring to young kids. Like, if you think there's a place for you and you have a voice, ask for it. Why
Yeah.
not? What's the worst that can happen?
That's what I ask. That's what I say every single day. I'm like, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah, right, exactly. If you
I
ask,
say no, so what?
if you don't ask, the answer is definitely no. So I
Exactly.
love that. And you were there for 7 years.
Yes, I was like doing it through college. I even launched like a teen section for them where like high school students would write. It was super fun and
Yeah.
just like the best experience ever.
And you took it from your teens to you were 20, 21. So
Yeah.
you were still getting to have the teen scene. And then you went from there to 17. Is that?
Yeah, so after college, I got my dream job of work. I mean, like you said, it was my Bible. Like I poured over those magazines. So
Oh,
yeah, I got that job as special projects director, or sorry, not director, assistant. That would be really awesome if I was the director, right? Right out of college.
you had that 14-year that job doing teen scene. So like you had a track record already. I
Yeah.
mean, you were a writer. So you must have been, were you a kid that wrote books and stapled pages together and made your own stories or kept a journal?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was always writing little stories all over the place. I before I got my job at the newspaper, maybe this is what gave me the confidence to even like talk to them, but I had there was a teen magazine that had a fiction contest, like a short story contest, and I entered it, and it was my art or my story was basically You've Got Mail, but like before You've Got Mail,
Oh my
and it was about a mom and a dad who had like divorced and like re-met online.
God.
Um, so
Um,
yeah,
I can't, I'm trying to like gauge a year here, but that's so cute.
yeah, and it won like honorable mention or something. But it was like really cool to see my name in the magazine. I think that's kind of like what sparked all of this
I love it. The
career.
passion starts, and it's always interesting to me to dig back to what that first spark was, or what makes you think this is something I want to do, or what, who you looked up to, like who were some of the writers that you admired, or some of the people who had columns, like who were some of your favorites?
In terms of like authors and stuff.
Or authors, or who had a column, or people
Oh,
that.
okay. So this is my other favorite story. Cosmo Girl magazine. Do you remember that?
Yes. Oh, my daughter. Yes,
Okay.
I did.
So it was, I remember like going there and like reading my very first issue, like in the bookstore, because like that's where I always hung out, was like the bookstore. And I opened it up and I read the editor's letter from Atusa Rubinstein.
Uh,
And there was something that like so amazing about her. And I was like, I want to be her when I grow up. So, like, long story short, I like saw her at the Miss Teen USA pageant. She was a judge, and I was like sitting in the stands, and I saw her on the Jumbotron, and I was like, I looked at my friend and I was like, my life is about to change. Like, this is the woman that like I'm obsessed with. Like, I need to meet her. So like after the show, we like ran downstairs to try to meet her, and I'm like, Atusa, and she like got whisked away from by security, not because like we were crazy people or anything like that, but like I guess she was just like leaving.
girl.
And so we both like looked at each other, and she was like, oh, and I was like, oh, and then we like she yeah, anyway, she left, and then so I wrote an article about her for
Uh,
Teen, and I sent it to her like in the mail, and she wrote me back, and she was like, can I be your mentor?
oh, I love
And
that.
so we just like stayed pen pals, and then that's ultimately like how I got the job at 17, because she was the editor in chief there.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story. That is a great story. And it
Yeah.
really goes to show that when you're passionate, you go for it. I can just picture the two of you like with the slow camera. And, "Ah,
It was probably more magical for me than her, but
you never know. And then that leads you to the next thing. And that's really why people love to hear stories. How did you get here? What was the drive? What was your path? And really just paying attention and knowing what it is that you're so interested in, and you recognized what you knew because it was important to you. So
Yeah.
I love that. It's Julie Pennell, and it is Louisiana Lucky plus cupcakes. And go to juliepennell.com for more info. And it's pub day. The book is out and it's available everywhere. And on behalf of Mighty Blaze, I wish you a continued fabulous pub day and everybody reading Louisiana Lucky. And tonight you'll be with Christy
Whitson Harvey.
And what is the bookstore again?
Garden District Bookshop in New Orleans. So you can find all the RSVP information there.
So that'll be fun. 7 o'clock Eastern?
7 o'clock Eastern.
Okay, 7 o'clock Eastern, there on Garden Shop. Blah, blah, blah. Go to
Garden District Bookshop.
Go there. Trying to know too much stuff without notes in my hands. It was such a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you so much. It was so fun.
So fun. Congratulations, and all the best with the little boys there.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
Everybody.